Hello, security people. Um, as you can see, I am not Renee Small, but my co-host wasn't able to make it today, so it'll just be myself, Christophe Foulon, and our guest for today, Robert Jones, who comes from industrial engineering in the Baltimore, Maryland area to join us today and to talk about his journey into cybersecurity. Um, I guess to get things started, Robert, do you want to give us a background on where you were and what made you decide to join the cybersecurity community?
Sure. Yeah. So, kind of echo. Let me take this out. Okay. So I started off, got my undergrad at Norfolk State in computer science with emphasis of information assurance. Back then, it kind of didn't really mean cybersecurity more so. So once I graduated, like most of us, had a hard time finding a job. So I went into grad school right after undergrad, and I landed a job at UPS as an industrial engineer. Did some time with them, and then I kind of panned over into some marketing as well. Unfortunately, after the first semester of my grad school at Liberty University, as I was at the time, every semester after that, I had a death that I had to grieve for.
I'm
And
sorry.
yeah, it's okay. It's okay. Fortunately, I couldn't handle it. Grad school, and I thought I could, and I actually flunked out, believe it or not. Um, and so time kind of passed. I always felt like I needed to go back to school and get my master's, no matter what. So about 6, 7 months later, I was like, okay, I need to go back. So obviously I can't go back to Liberty. So I was like, which program should I go? I tried to kind of figure out which one, talk to my mother, talk to a friend of mine, and they both said UMC has a great cybersecurity program. And so I was okay, cool, I'll get in. And I got in. And so I loved that program, absolutely loved the program. I learned a whole lot through the labs. I was a cybersecurity technology major. And through that time, I kind of learned a lot of various tools, a lot of various kind of coding techniques as well. So my background is also I can do some programming as well, but not I didn't really want to do that for the rest of my life, but I kind of have that skill. So I really wanted to land a job right after I graduate my master's. So I began to kind of connect with people who were in that field. Um, one of my cousins actually influenced me a lot to, instead of coming home watching Netflix, to go read a book, go watch some YouTube videos, hack 5 videos, do a project. And that's pretty much what I kind of did. I bought a Raspberry Pi, I made it to a little VPN server. I just kind of played with some stuff, played with my home router, configured that, and just learned a lot of new skills that otherwise I wouldn't really get. As I was doing a lot of job hunting, I noticed that, junior positions, 5 years experience. I was like, well, I don't have that. So I had to do what I had to do on my own time to get that kind of experience. So time forward, and I graduated my master's in cybersecurity. And I was really working my butt off to apply to a lot of different positions. I probably applied to like 200 applications within a couple of weeks or so. And I had one phone interview, but that was it. And then I actually ran into a recruiter for Booz Allen, and I've known her personally, and I told her what I was doing, what kind of work I've been doing, and stuff like that. And she was like, "Oh yeah. I can see you, getting in." So she gave me the interview, and when I tell you, when I got the interview date, I studied the company. I did whatever. I did all my speeches. I wrote all my questions. I was prepared, completely prepared, because I didn't know if I was going to get an interview after this or not. So I did that, did the interview, and I did pretty well. And I got the job as a cybersecurity consultant for Booz Allen.
Oh, wow. Okay. Lots of things to unpack there.
Oh yeah.
So I guess let's talk about the UMUC program,
Mhm.
and what about it you thought was most beneficial, and for individuals looking to go down the education route, what characteristics should they look for in a program that you thought was beneficial and that they should look for as well?
Gotcha. So one of the things that I thoroughly enjoyed were the labs. They were kind of a pain in the beginning to kind of understand, but once you kind of go through it, I remember this last lab that we did. It was a reverse engineer of a ransomware piece of ransomware, and it was pretty much kind of a capture flag type of piece, and was really hands-on. I had to use Wireshark, Offcrack, Crypt tool, all these different kinds of tools just to reverse engineer the ransomware. And
Hmm.
actually, that was ultimately my talking point for my interview. Even though I didn't have no experience, but that was my kind of my baby, my go-to, if you will, to kind of say, hey, yeah, I don't have this X, Y, and Z experience, but I've done this, and I can talk to you about it technical wise. So any program that's really technical heavy, that has labs, that can teach you, that can give you the tools that you can play with, would be your best bet.
That's a great example of whether you're getting it from an educational program or you're doing it
Hmm.
yourself in your home lab, that you can talk to an employer and you can say, while I might not have been doing this in a functional role, this is what I was able to accomplish either at school or at
Hmm.
home. And to talk to them in those details, they just love that because it shows that A, you're going above and beyond.
Hmm.
Um, you have that curiosity that you just don't want things to come to you. You're going out and you're tinkering, you're figuring it out yourself, and that's absolutely great. Um, what about from the aspects of certifications or anything like that? Do you have any certs? Did you think they were valuable? What's your opinion on those?
So I struggled with this for a while because I'm like, okay, I have a degree. I don't need certs. Like, come on now. But there's no way around it. I have to get at least a Security Plus to get in the cyber or at least hold it. Um, so going into the position that I am now, I actually didn't have anything. I actually found that Booz Allen actually has jobs that are called university jobs. So there are jobs specifically for people who are just graduating, whether
Mhm.
undergrad or graduate. So they expect you to not have, a plethora of things on your resume. However, there was a training cyber cohort that that Booz Allen has,
Mhm.
that in 10 weeks, I will go through this training and I will get my Network Plus, Security Plus, and the CISSP certification. And I just went through that. My last day was Friday, and I've taken the CISSP Plus on Friday, and I've passed it. Um,
Congratulations.
Thank you, thank you. It was rough, but I got through it nonetheless. But yeah, those are sometimes non-negotiable for certain companies. Just depends on what the company requires, whether it's DoD compliant. But if you want to get into cyber, just start with Security Plus. Before the boot camp with Booz Allen, I actually taken the 401 and the 501, and failed it 4 times.
Is that the Security Plus?
Yep, Security Plus.
Okay.
So unfortunately for me, I saw my friends getting Security Plus. They were getting certifications. So at the time, I was actually getting married. At the time, I was in grad school, and I was like, well, if they're getting it, then I might as well get it. And I shouldn't have kind of done it because it was just too much on my plate.
Hmm.
Each time that second test, it was between 700 and 730. And the passing score was 750. So if you have the time, just if you can focus really on that certification, that'd be great. That way you can kind of just solely focus on it and nothing else. Um, But yeah, it's definitely Security Plus, at least Security Plus. And if you're just starting into the IT, start at A plus, start at Network Plus. It's a great foundation, and it won't hurt. It'll actually help your career.
Yeah, and even if you don't test out for the certifications, at least knowing the material that's on them provides that great foundation. And you mentioned another aspect that several of our guests have mentioned is that if you are looking to go into the government space, find out what those certification requirements are, because depending on what level of position you're looking for, you might need a Security Plus, a CYSA, a CISSP, a CISA, or it depends on what level of position you're looking for, what the government has set as their minimum standard of certification. And sometimes you can't, as much experience as you have, you could have 20 years experience. If you don't have the cert, they don't allow you to go into position because that's the minimum standard that they have said. Let's talk about your social journey. So you mentioned you had this goal that as soon as you graduated, that you wanted to get this job. How was that? How was the search? Did the school help you? Did you do it on your own through networking? Describe your process there.
So I kind of was just so many applicants. Did so many types of resumes, and I did get a lot of help actually. I do have a mentor, which I highly would recommend. He's actually a CISO for a small company. He's helped me and a lot of other people with their resumes and understanding, the cyber world and what's required of them. But essentially, I got help with my resume, and it was a lot of copy and pastes per application rather. But I was just whatever job, cyber, junior, entry, sometimes even IT administrator, I would apply just to kind of gain some type of experience. Whatever would allow me to work, honestly, I was just flooding it.
And was that through like job boards, applicant tracking systems for those companies? Like, what was your approach?
I used a lot of Indeed, Monster. UMUC has a career quest, so I would apply through jobs through them. Of course, reference. I would find people, and they'll say, "Hey, I referred you to this job." I've had not job opportunities, but at least interviews through those kind of avenues as well. So anything, connections, LinkedIn, online, Indeed, anything, social media, anything I could get my hands on, I was applying.
Which particular avenue do you felt gained the most results? So was it job boards? Was it connections, referrals? Like which one do you think helped you the most, or got you the best results of at least talking to an employer?
Connections. You always hear the old time, it's not what you know, but it's who you know. When somebody refers you, it's weighted differently, per se, with your application, because that person is putting their name on the line. So, that connection really was a pivot to get me into the cyber role that I'm in right now. Of course, attending any conferences. I've attended a couple of career fairs as well, talking to a lot of different companies, NSA, CACI, and kind of the big name corporations. Went to a lot of those as well. Just made a bunch of connections. LinkedIn, I got my LinkedIn up as well. It was kind of dry for the last 2-3 years, so I kind of just reformatted it and made it really nice. So yeah.
What kind of conferences or career fairs did you attend, and which ones would you recommend to individuals in the Baltimore, DC area to go to?
Any career fair, especially the companies that you want to work for, definitely try to link up and go to those. If you have to take off work, do it. because you just never know who you meet and what kind of experience you have. And it's good to talk to people, especially about the cyber world and from their experience, and even from recruiters of what that company is looking for. So if you're in school, go to your school's events and stuff like that.
And you mentioned conferences. Which particular conferences did you go to?
So I just pretty much been to strictly recruiter events more so.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
for right now.
Okay. And let's talk about your interview process. So you mentioned that one of the connections that you made over creating connections, that you reached out to them and they got you the role. How did you prepare for that role? Was it something that you thought that you could do, or was it like a stretch role? Describe the process there.
So the role was kind of very vague per se. It just said cyber, so I didn't know what that entails. But the recruiter kind of helped me out of what kind of accounts there were going to be there. So there's aerospace account and the healthcare account. So essentially, I just looked up, everybody. Well, I knew who Booz Allen was automatically, but I went to the website, looked up what they were about. Essentially, I kind of wrote down what I was going to say, how I was going to say it. I rehearsed it. Wrote down. I kind of just Googled questions to ask your interviewer and picked like 5 of them that were really good. And just kind of practice. Did like a mock interview with my wife and just practice. Because like I said, I didn't know if I was going to another interview. So I treated that one as my last one. So I went all out.
The mock interview, that's an absolutely great tip. I mean, I myself have done it in my head, but haven't done it with an individual as much as I should. But that's definitely a good tip if you have someone that you feel will be open and fair with you, as well as provide critical feedback. I know sometimes your spouse, you might feel they might be a little overly critical on you,
Yeah.
but if you could have that, I definitely recommend it.
Definitely.
What about from skills? Like it was a vague job description. The recruiter maybe gave you more details. How did you find your skills that you either had or that you had started to work on would transfer into this role?
Let's see. So I actually forgot to say that I was after I was working as an industrial engineer. I became a teacher out in DC, teaching technical Microsoft Office, getting people trained and certified in Microsoft Office specialists, and some customer service classes and business classes as well. So those skills definitely transitioned just by explaining certain things. Also, I forgot. So the last 6 months as I was an instructor, they asked me to be their network admin. So I actually gained about a good amount of experience setting up accounts through the Active Directory, setting up the VPN servers, adding people to VPN clients, and downloading all the software and yada, yada, yada. So I was actually fresh on the technical side of my skills. And so pretty much I just use all of that, everything that I've learned. Marketing helped because it helped me talk to people, how to engage people, how to read people. And of course, technical skills, they're kind of crossed over into the cyber because there's technical routes that you can take in cyber as well. So
that's a great point that I think a lot of people tend to forget is, as you're looking for a new role, if there's any areas within their current job that they could either volunteer or ask for additional responsibilities, that they can use that experience to hone their skills, to improve their skills. Teaching individuals and be able being able to take materials that someone's not comfortable with and to translate that in a way that makes them comfortable is definitely a great skill as well.
Definitely.
So once you started in that role, how do you keep current with the industry? How do you keep on top of your game to make sure that you're always performing at the top?
Pretty much doing what I've been doing, doing projects on my own time, looking for my next certification to take. I'm not too sure which one. I kind of like hacking, but also want to do the manager side of it as well. So just I've got some time to think about it before I pursue it. But YouTube videos all day. I've learned so much through those videos. And then my company allows me to use Udemy. And Udemy is a great resource as well. Coursera, Cybersecurity, all these online platforms. And if you can afford it, pay for the premium service because it helps out tremendously. If not, then it's okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I've been a big fan of Cybersecurity. I started using Cybersecurity when they only had four classes back in the day, and I've been using it ever since. Some of our guests have went through the Cybersecurity career progression track from 0 to systems analyst or cybersecurity risk analyst. So they've definitely upped their game when it comes to their premium offerings. But even their free offerings allows you to get a dip in to figure out if that's an area that you like, if it's an area that you don't like. You mentioned you're deciding between the hands-on hacking versus the managerial aspect. That's another thing for individuals to consider, that not all the roles within cybersecurity are all technical. There's marketing and communication. There's the governance, risk, and compliance aspect that you need those people as well, because you need the change management, you need the governance in place, as well as the technology that helps secure your policies and procedures after the fact. Because if you just put the technology in, people will go around that and will do what they want. But if you don't have that governance and policies in to say, hey, if you do this, then these are the consequences, then it allows those controls to be more effective.
Definitely.
What about from yourself? We're approaching the top of the half hour. Is there any advice that you would give, if you had to give one piece of advice to someone coming along your path that came to you as their mentor? How would they be able to do it? What's your best piece of advice?
Like my dad always said to me, run your own race. Don't look at everybody else's race and get discouraged because it doesn't look like yours. Continue what you want to do. Do not give up, no matter how hard it is, and just strive to be what you want to be, because you can.
That's pretty deep. I mean, when you think of it, there's so many different unique roles, and there's companies that don't even have a role. And if you can take a blend of experiences and say, hey, this is the role that you're looking for, these are the additional skills and competencies that I offer. How about we make a role that does this, what you're looking for, this is what I'm interested in, and combine that together, and you can create your own role that wouldn't have been there unless you had the guts to ask for it or something like that.
Definitely.
Well, great. Well, thank you so much for your time today. Renee, sorry that you couldn't be here today, but I had a great time, and good luck, everyone. And if you want to reach out to Robert, if we could post your LinkedIn in the chat for everyone, they could reach out to you. Reach out to myself, Renee as well. And good luck, and talk to you guys next week. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.